Welcome to Open Door Baptist Church in Archdale. So glad you're with us, watching and listening. You kids, you get ready for our children's sermon. Remember, I gave you that little 3-minute video to tell you how to prepare so you can participate in the sermon. But first, Dr. Jeff Crum has a very important announcement.
Well, again, I want to welcome you to our service, and I want you to come back tonight. But we need to know if you're going to come or not. We're going to continue with our planned financial workshops that we were going to run for 6 weeks. Now, we had no idea that this Corona stuff was coming, but this is a critical time to talk about our money. People are asking questions about their emergency fund. They have questions about how to plan for the future. People are calling me and asking about life insurance and other things that they didn't think about before. It's a critical time. So I want to invite you back tonight. Now, here's what you need to do. We're not going to meet in the physical building for the next week or two, or we'll see about that. But we need you to email us or call us and let us know that you're coming. And then we'll send you a link to the Zoom classroom. You can check into that room a little early. We can fellowship with one another. And then we'll record the Zoom meeting for about an hour, and we'll talk about different aspects of money. There are 3 primary things we're talking about. First of all, we're going to talk about a biblical basis on everything. I mean, we'll always have a biblical foundation, but we'll talk about cash flow, which is budgeting. Then we'll talk about protecting ourselves with our health, our life, other things like that. The first place we protect ourselves is with an emergency fund, and we'll talk about how to build that. Now, even in times like this, I'll give you tips about how to rethink your budget and save some money, because money's going to be tight here for at least another month, and we need to think about this. And then finally, we'll think about our future as far as planning for retirement, planning for college, and big expenses that come in the future. So sign up now, send us an email, give us a telephone call, and then we'll send you an email or get back with you about how to get into the Zoom classroom. I hope to see you tonight.
All right, we're going to do our children's sermon now. And it's going to be about Christ, sin, and you and me. How can Christ get sin out of our lives? Well, sin is dark and ugly, but each one of us was born in sin. We're born sinners. Adam sinned. All of his descendants were sinners. So we have sin. That's why we disobey our parents. That's why we do things we shouldn't. So how can we get the sin out of our lives? Well, we ask Christ to be our Savior. We ask Him to come into our lives by faith. We receive Him by believing in His death, burial, and resurrection. But how was that even possible? It was possible because Christ took our sins upon Him at the cross. He died for our sins. He died in our place. And so when He did that, He removed all sin. Potentially every sinner can come to Christ. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in Him should not perish, but have everlasting life. And I trust that if you haven't received Him, that you will. So we're going to now move to our sermon from Revelation chapter 21 on heaven. All right, good. We're going to be in Revelation 21 and 22. We're going to talk about heaven. At the end of the service, I'm going to have our prayer time. I'm going to pray for some of our members, pray for our nation. So I look forward to having that prayer time. What we have in Revelation 21 and 22 is a tour of heaven. And I wanted to put it this way. The tour of heaven versus heaven tourism. I don't know if you've heard of this or not. It's been around about a decade now, where Christians allegedly die, go to heaven, see lots of things, come back and write a book and make millions. And the person that I read about this week was Alex and his father Kevin Malarkey. Back in 2004, Kevin and his son Alex, 6 years old, had a terrible car accident. And Alex severed He actually severed his skull from his spine. They call it an internal decapitation. Of course, he was in and out of consciousness, and he muttered a few words about angels. His dad, Kevin, concocted the story that Alex went to heaven, saw Jesus, saw 150 angels, saw a three-headed Satan with fiery eyes, with moldy teeth, with fiery hair. And eventually, the two of them co-authored a book called A Boy Comes Back from Heaven. And they sold millions and made millions. And it was part of what has come to be known as a new genre in Christian literature called heaven tourism. For example, Don Piper wrote 90 Minutes in Heaven, sold 4 million copies. Colton Burpo wrote Heaven is for Real, sold 6 million copies. But Alex, a few years later, denied everything in the book. His dad wrote the book, but Alex denied. Here's what he said. Here's a quote. "I did not die. I did not go to heaven. I said I went to heaven because I thought it would get me attention." And so I just thought, how contrasting is these alleged heaven tourisms with what we find in Scripture. Paul, for example, was called up to the third heaven, he said in 2 Corinthians chapter 12. But he added this: he didn't know whether he was in body or out of the body. He didn't know for sure. And he did not tell of this experience until 14 years later, when he was forced to by his critics who were denying that he was an apostle. Lazarus, we know Lazarus was raised from the dead by Jesus, but we don't know anything about what happened with Lazarus after he was raised from the dead. He never said anything. There's no record of one comment after Lazarus came back from the dead. What a contrast with what we see in what is called heaven tourism. Well, I want us to take an actual tour of heaven, and our guide is going to be the Apostle John. This is accurate. This is inspired. This is God's revelation. Look in Revelation 21, verse 1. Look what John says. "And I saw a new heaven and a new earth." So we can rest confidently that what we're studying in these 2 chapters is an accurate portrayal of heaven. I thought it would be much better than reading a book about 90 minutes in heaven. It would be much better to spend 90 minutes reading Revelation 21 and 22, studying what God actually recorded heaven is like. So the first thing that John saw, he says here, is a new heaven and a new earth. So look what he says. "And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away." So let's answer some questions. Which heaven and earth is new? Which passed away? Which is new? There's a first heaven, there's a second heaven, there's a third heaven. Paul said he was called up to the third heaven. So it's this first heaven, the atmosphere about us that we see, that's under the curse, it's passed away. The second heaven's where the planets and stars are, that's under the curse, that will be passed away. So those are the 2 new, not the third heaven where God is. Sin has never tainted the abode of God. So here's the second question. Why is there a new heaven and a new earth? He tells us here, look at the language, the first passed away. Now when we hear that word passed away, we think of someone who died. But this is specific language that Peter used. And I'd like to ask you to turn just a few books back in your Bible, 2 Peter chapter 3. Because Peter's going to talk about the same thing. He's going to talk about the heavens passing away. You remember this passage? This is when Peter contrasts the old world passing away with the flood. This is 2 Peter 3, verse 6. Whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. And then Peter reminds us of that promise in the rainbow that God will never destroy the planet again with water. What will he destroy it again in the future with is fire. This is chapter 3, verse 7. But the heavens and the earth, which are now, by the same word are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. And so, verse 10, we see these same words used by John. 2 Peter 3:10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise. So this happens at a future time, and we're going to go back now to Revelation 21. We're going to see some more answers here. So it's the first heaven and the second heaven that pass away. They pass away. There's a new heaven and a new earth because the first is passed away. So here's another question. When does this happen? When does this happen? And what is the result of the new heaven and earth? So let's look at the rest of verse 1. The first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. I want to answer these last two questions by giving us this picture here, this timeline. You and I live right before the rapture, we believe. When Jesus comes back, we're caught up. And then there will be that 7-year tribulation period that we studied about in the book of Revelation from chapter 4 to chapter 18. Jesus comes back, second coming, at Revelation 19. And then there is the millennium. We studied about this in Revelation chapter 20, which is for 1,000 years. At the end of chapter 20, last Sunday we looked at the great white throne judgment. And that is when this purging of the new heaven and the new earth take place. Everybody is at the great white throne judgment. Sinners are there being judged. You and I as Christians are there being witnesses. And then look at this little comment at the end of verse 1. And there was no more sea. So when everyone is at the great white throne, only sinners being judged there. Christians were judged after the rapture at the judgment seat. God creates a new heaven, a new Jerusalem, and a new earth. And look at this little detail, and there is no more sea. That is a contrast. Our planet is 75% covered with water. There will be sea in the millennium, but not in this new earth, not in this new creation. Interesting, isn't it? Sea in the book of Revelation has this negative connotation about it. When we studied through Revelation, we saw in Revelation 13:1 that Antichrist arose from the sea. Chapter 16, God poured out one of his judgments on the salt water and the marine life. Revelation 18, that Babylon, that economic Babylon, that one world government distributed its goods by means of the sea. Revelation 20 and verse 12 says, verse 13, that the sea gave up its dead who stood before God at the great white throne judgment. The sea has a negative aspect to it in Revelation. So what does John say? In eternity, on the new earth, no more sea. Perhaps John, who's on the Isle of Patmos, separated from his congregation at Ephesus, thinks about no more separation from me and my congregation. I just thought about our circumstance today, how we are separated from our congregations. That's why we're having to record and post it on Facebook and YouTube so our congregation can watch. We're separated. We're separated now because of this crisis. But there's coming a day when there will be no more separation. And John is giving us something to be very thankful for. What does he see next? So John sees the first heaven. He sees a new heaven and a new earth, and then he's going to spend the rest of his time in Revelation 21 and 22 on the New Jerusalem. Look at verse 2. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Look what John does. He describes the New Jerusalem as a city and as a bride. And he takes the rest of chapter 21 to chapter 22, verse 5, and elaborates on this. So what does he do? First of all, he says the New Jerusalem is as a bride. And he's going to do that in verses 3 to 9. And then in verse 10, he's going to say the New Jerusalem is the city. So he has a particular emphasis for each one. The bride emphasizes that this heaven that we're going to is all about people. It's not about material things, lots of material things in this New Jerusalem. That's not the focus. The focus is God and people. And then when he moves to emphasize the city, he's going to emphasize this New Jerusalem as a place. This future event is not a state of mind. This is a place. So let's start where he does. He picks up with the bride, verse 3. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, people. And he will dwell with them, people. And they shall be his people, and God himself will be with them, and he will be their God. What is heaven about? Heaven is about God and his people together. We will be his people. He will tabernacle. God is going to be with us. Where is God? He is in heaven. Jesus is at his right hand. But that throne is moving to the earth, as we will see in the New Jerusalem. It's about people. What is God going to do when he comes down here and dwells among his people? Look in verse 4. And God shall wipe all tears from their eyes. Look at this compassionate God working, blessing, helping his people. He will wipe all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. This New Jerusalem is like a bride. It is a person with whom God has this very important relationship with. And John tells us here, in addition to no more sea, no more separation, look, no more tears. No more tears because there's no more death. I don't know if you've experienced death of a loved one, close friend. My dad passed away a little over a year ago. I watched him die for 1 year. And then all the family that lives locally, were able to gather there with him. And we were there. We were there when Dad passed. And that's my closest experience of death of someone that I love. In heaven, no more death. This terrible pandemic, as of yesterday, 37,000 have died in our nation. 37 deaths, 37,000 funerals and deaths and tears. One day, no more. So who's waiting for you in heaven? Who's there? Who's a believer waiting for you? Just go ahead and just speak their name out loud wherever you are. Bill White is there waiting for me. Maud Bear, my grandmother, is there. Other Blackburn, friends, relatives are there. And so when John is describing the New Jerusalem, he describes it as a bride. He goes on. He's going to give us some more information here. Verse 5, in this tour of heaven. Verse 5, and he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said to me, Write, these words are true. Verse 6. And he said unto me, It is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. So just think of all the needs God is meeting in heaven. He's meeting physical needs, no more pain. Emotional needs, no more tears. Spiritual needs. If you are thirsty spiritually, God will satisfy that thirst. Remember the Beatitude, blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness. So when we get to heaven, we are going to thirst for what is spiritual. And God is going to satisfy that thirst. There'll be no sinful nature that holds us back here, that interrupts our spiritual walk with God. None of that. God will be there satisfying our spiritual desires. He goes on in verse 7. He that overcomes shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son. And then, this is remarkable, verse 8. But, he's been talking about heaven. But then he says, just remember, it's only Christians who are going there. Who is not going there? Verse 8. But the fearful, and the unbelieving, and the abominable, and murderers, and whoremongers, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and liars, shall have their part in the lake of fire, the lake that burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. What a contrast here. He's saying, this is wonderful, what is being revealed to us. But let's don't forget about who's going there and who is not going there. Incredible word here in verse 8, abominable, that which pollutes. I'm just going to turn a few chapters back, chapter 17 and verse 4, when that one world church was presented as a prostitute. What did she have in her hand? Verse 4. She had a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. This is spiritual fornication. That one world church will lead people in an unfaithful relationship with the Lord. That cup that's presented there is full of that which pollutes. One more thing here. On the new earth, there is no more sea. Look what John says will be in eternity, the lake of fire. So what's the locations in heaven so far that we're aware of? There is a new heaven, a new Jerusalem coming down from heaven, a new earth, one more location, lake of fire. There's a place for believers for all of eternity. And then there's a place for unbelievers also for all of eternity. Which place are you going? He continues to add in verse 9, and there came unto me one of the seven angels who had the seven bowls full of the seven last plagues, and talked with me, saying, come here, and I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife. So here is this first picture of this New Jerusalem, this first picture of heaven. The emphasis is upon the bride, the beautiful body of Christ, believers whose sins have been washed away. Now he's going to move to picturing New Jerusalem as the city. Look at verse 10. And he carried me away in the Spirit to a great and high mountain, showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God. 7 times in the remaining of these verses, John is going to talk about now the city. Where we're going is a place. Some people try to describe it as a state of mind. Remember what Jesus said? I go to prepare a place for you. Well, John's elaborating on that. And so let's see what he says. Verse 11. Having the glory of God, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even a jasper, clear as crystal. So you can imagine this incredibly huge city. We'll get the dimensions here in just a minute. But it's clear. It's transparent. So when we get to heaven, we're not going to be awestruck with the bigness of this city, the architecture of this city. How great is this city? Because we're going to look straight through it, and what are we going to see? The glory of God. shining and flashing through it. Well, this city has a wall. We heard about the walls of Jasper. Verse 12, and had a wall great and high. Verse 18 says it's clear too. We're not going to be taken up with the material in heaven, even though this is a material place. We're going to be taken up with God and His Son, who died for our sins. The pearly gates, right? The pearly gates. Verse 12, there are 12 gates. And these are pearly gates. But are we going to be taken by these pearly gates? Are we going to be saying to friends, would you take my picture here by this amazing gate of pearl? No. That's not the emphasis. The emphasis at the end of verse 12 is that the 12 tribes of the children of Israel's names are going to be on these gates. Again, it's not the material, it's the people who are there. Same thing with the foundations. Verse 14, 12 foundations. That's an incredible foundation. Foundations here are hidden. Not in the New Jerusalem. They are open. They are visual. They are garnished with incredible jewels. But we won't be taken by the beauty of those 12 foundations, but with the names of the people there. The 12 apostles will have their names on those foundations. How big is this city? Well, he tells us in verses 15 and 16. Verse 16, the city lies square. The length is as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with a rod, a golden rod, 12,000 furlongs. The length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. 1,500 miles in every direction, Bible scholars have told us. So if you sat this city down on the United States, that's how much it would cover. It would be more than 3/4 of our country. That's just the bottom. It goes up 1,500 miles. I love the old song. I haven't heard it in a long time. Maybe you remember this song. There is room at the cross for you. Though millions have come, there is still room for one. Yes, there's room at the cross for you. There's room for you in this city. Got to make sure of that. And so we see how great this city is. So that's the outward description here that John gave us. Now he's going to move to the inward description of this in verse 21. He's going to move the inside. He's going to zoom in, and what's on the inside of the city, second part of verse 21, and the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. Gates of pearl, walls of jasper, streets of gold. That's what we think about when we think of heaven. But these streets of gold are transparent. We're not going to be, again, fascinated by gold streets. We're going to look through them and see the greatness of our God. What else is on the inside of the city? Verse 22, and I saw no temple therein, for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. Now that just really struck me. There was a tabernacle in the Old Testament, a temple in the Old Testament. That's a local churches today. And I don't know this for sure, but I think God, for all of eternity, is going to be telling us the church is not the building. The church is the people. There's not going to be a particular building that we go to. In heaven, we're going to worship God, and we're going to worship His Son. We can't come to the building now and worship. But are we still the church? Is Open Door Baptist Church still a church when we can't come to the front door? We are. I was just thinking, for every person who pulls up this service and watches laptop, desktop, tablet, smartphone, while this service is going on, the church is meeting. We're together. Because it's not a building that makes us a church, it's the people who know Christ. The early church of Jerusalem, they had 3,000 members the very first day. And it was referred to as the church. Did they have a building that held 3,000 and next time Peter preached 5,000? No, they met in homes. So we can do that. We can worship together, though separate. We long for the time when we will not be separated, but we're a church, whether we're inside this building or not. What else is on the inside? Well, verse 23 says, and the city had no need of the sun. And why is that? Because God in all of his glory is shining. Jesus, who said, I am the light of the world, is brilliantly illuminating this city. There's no night, and therefore there is no fear. Verse 25 says, they don't even shut the gates at night. That's a wonderful thing. No fear. Now, my wife and I, we have these security lights that are motion lights in front of the house. We have security lights that are motion lights behind the house because we've had several attempts to break into our house. But we won't need that in eternity. We will be secure. There will be no fear in heaven. Look at verse 27. And there shall in no wise enter in it anything that defiles, neither whatsoever works abomination. Remember that word that we pointed out? Here he goes again. He's just reminding us this is for believers only. Nothing that pollutes will be permitted into this city. So he sort of circles around. And he makes this emphasis at the end of verse 27. Or makes a line. But they that are written in the Lamb's book of life. Let's just circle back to the end of chapter 20 where he said this. Whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. Your name's not there, you don't get in. Your name is there, chapter 21, verse 27, you get in. Because you have trusted Christ as your Savior. This is the tour of heaven that John has given us. We're going to finish it next Sunday in chapter 22. But I hope that you know Christ is your Savior. That you are going to this blessed place that he is preparing for us. Let me have a quick prayer. Father, I thank you for your word. Thank you for what a beautiful picture we have here of the reality that we look forward to. Father, thank you for just giving us enough that we long to be at this place with those who know you and with you and your Son. But Father, help us not to overlook these warnings that our loved ones who do not know Christ, they're not going there. Our friends, co-workers. Father, help us to have open doors to minister to them. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Thank you again for being with us. And if the Lord has spoken to your heart through his word, here's how you can contact us. You can email us, you can call me, and I would love to talk to you or answer your email. So you can watch us, of course, on Facebook, YouTube, and the YouTube recordings are there. You can go back. One of our members asked about that, and I was able to tell her, yes, last Sunday was recorded. So I hope you can do that. And then you can give online, OpenDoorArchdale at Gmail. So I got my tithe right here today, and I'm going to turn this in. This is my worshiping the Lord. He gave his Son. He gave me eternal life. And now I'm going to give back to him because I love him. You can mail also to Open Door Baptist Church and the address of our church. So what I want to do now, I I want to have a prayer time, and then Jeff is going to come and lead us in some songs. But I want to pray for some of our members, and then I want to pray for our nation. If you have a prayer request that you would like for us to pray for, you can email that, you can call me and give it to me. I'll pray with you over the phone. But let me pray for some of our people. Father, I want to thank you for blessing Don and Emily. Thank you for a little improvement there. And I want to thank you for Pete and the improvement that you brought to him. Thank you for the good result this week that Sandra got. And also we remember Nancy, that you would continue to bless her as she takes her treatments. And thank you for the healing that Vicki has experienced. And I pray for Tanya as she waits for her surgery. Father, I also thank you for blessing Iris, that she's stronger now. Father, I'm just briefly mentioning these now, but you know that we have spent more time in prayer for our people this week. And we want to thank you for answers that we've been able to hear from them as we talk with them by phone. Pray for our nation. We need your supernatural intervention to bring healing to us. I pray for those who've lost loved ones, that you would comfort them. I pray that they will prepare their hearts for heaven by trusting Christ. I pray for those who are sick right now. I pray for those who've lost jobs. I just pray for the extra burdens that this pandemic has brought to our nation and to so many personally. I pray, Father, we will commit our lives to you as we have never committed them before. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless.
Okay, we want to sing a couple of songs together. The first one is about heaven. When we all get to heaven, I've lowered the key for you so that it's comfortable to sing. The first stanza is, sing the wondrous love of Jesus, sing his mercy and his grace. In the mansions, bright and blessed, he'll prepare for us a place. Let's sing. Sing the wondrous love of Jesus, sing his mercy and his grace. In the mansions bright and blessed, he'll prepare for us a place. When we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory. The second stanza says, while we walk this pilgrim pathway, clouds will overspread the sky. But when traveling days are over, not a shadow, not a sigh. Let's sing. While we walk the pilgrim pathway, clouds will overspread the sky. But when traveling days are over, not a shadow, not a sigh. When we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing there will be. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory. Now the third stanza says, let us then be true and faithful, trusting, serving every day. Just one glimpse of him in glory will the toils of life repay. Let us then be true and faithful, trusting, serving every day. Just one glimpse of him in glory will the toils of life repay. When we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory. And now onward to the prize before us. Soon his beauty we'll behold. Soon the pearly gates will open. We shall tread the streets of gold. Onward to the prize before us, soon His beauty will behold. Soon the pearly gates will open, we shall tread the streets of gold. When we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory. Now, before we go, we're going to sing one more song, but I want to remind you to call your friends and invite them to our financial seminar, which starts tonight. Now, we need to know that you're coming so that we can send you the link to the Zoom room. We will not be meeting in the church, so it must be online. If you can't attend by a computer, you can still call us and we can give you a phone number and you can listen in. So call your friends and join us. Now let's sing together. Oh, victory in Jesus. We'll just sing the chorus.